Alright, the time has come. Vegeta is taking on Granola. Was the fight over with, or is it just beginning? Let's dive into it on chapter 76 right now. Hey everyone, hope you've had a great month. Chapter 76 is finally here, and we get to continue the fight between Granola and Vegeta. And I know, like the rest of you, everyone has just been anticipating, waiting for this month to finally come. So let's dive into that a little bit more right now.
Would you like to try some, or are you too tired? You could go straight to bed.
And let you have it all yourself?
A lot of people were upset with the way the last chapter ended. Vegeta looked like he was on the brink of losing the fight against Granola, but like everything, the chapter does need to end on some kind of cliffhanger to get everyone anticipated for the following chapter. So I didn't think that this fight was over just yet, and really it's going to be Vegeta's determination, which is pretty much going to be what this chapter entails, is Vegeta's overwhelming ability to just kind of conquer his own physical limits to keep trying to get that win. And so we're going to get to see exactly how that plays out through this chapter. We do start the chapter with Granola just completely obliterating Vegeta here and just essentially making fun of Ego Vegeta's transformation and how it really doesn't serve enough purpose, that even Granola is just kind of seeing it as not really a threat any longer. I do have to say that I do like Granola's handgun style Ki blast. It doesn't really have a name that I noticed just yet, but I love when he uses his fingers to just show off and just kind of have this unlimited round of blasts that he can kind of use that's really focusing with his ability with his eye, since he can use that as a more precision technique that less so you don't notice as often with Vegeta or Goku using, as they kind of use more just big blast attacks. Granola again makes that amateur mistake where he kind of plays with his food in a sense, and what I mean by that is even though he was on the verge of winning, he takes a moment to essentially talk down to Vegeta and not use that moment to just finish things off. And of course that works completely against him, and that was just enough time to give Vegeta that extra little bit of boost to kind of handle the situation right there, saying things like, "You speak too soon, and I'm in control of my own fate." And as Vegeta does say that, out of nowhere, Goku comes in with a sneak attack and pummels Granola, but in this moment, Vegeta was pissed. He was so angry and upset about Goku stepping in again, which we've seen time and time before, and we've been seeing it throughout the rest of this chapter, that we really thought Goku was going to go in, maybe take an L for a moment, Vegeta was going to step in, then take an L, then Goku was going to step back in again, and then take the win. That's kind of been the bread and butter of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super in a nutshell for a lot of chapters now. But that's kind of what I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that Vegeta's determination to get that win seems to excel anything else in this moment. So let's dive in a little bit more with that. Goku does tell Vegeta that he's going to take over from here to give Vegeta a moment to rest. But as Goku says that, Vegeta steps in and just kicks Goku right in the gut, blasting him aside, and is not having any of it. Vegeta is so pissed and is just telling Goku to step aside, and Goku is completely baffled and doesn't seem to understand what is happening here, other than Vegeta's ego getting in the way here, which kind of goes hand in hand with his new form, Ego Vegeta. But that is kind of what's playing the whole part here, and Vegeta really wants to prove himself that he doesn't need Goku's help. We do get to see that Vegeta says, "There's no one I'd rather beat to hell and back than you, Kakarot." And of course Goku tells him, "Come on man, you sure picked a moment for this old attitude." And then Vegeta says, "You're confused, but know that I've only ever agreed to fight side by side when we had something to protect." Then of course Goku's still confused. "How about preserving your own life, or are you trying to get yourself killed here?" Then Vegeta says, "Better that than teaming up with you." Now despite all of that, there is something I really want to mention here, because this really stood out to me, and again is one of those moments that really just shows Vegeta by far throughout the entire Dragon Ball franchise has the greatest story development of anybody else. Even though Vegeta right now is having an egotistical moment, he is definitely still stating that he is willing to work with Goku when it's for the greater good. Old Vegeta didn't even want to do that. Old Vegeta still wanted to do everything on his own, but because this is something a little bit different, and this is more about a one-on-one fight, that doesn't have a detriment to the universe, that Vegeta wants to do this by himself. So again, that's just showing how much growth Vegeta has had throughout all of these chapters since the beginning that we've been introduced to him. Now, in saying that, Granola did take the moment to go in for a death kill on Vegeta, and Goku does save Vegeta in this moment by using a blast just to push Vegeta out of the way, preventing Granola from getting that kill. Now, Vegeta does look to be kind of knocked out for a moment, and we do end up getting into that situation where it is Goku versus Granola again. Now, Goku does tell Granola that using those pinpoint attacks are not going to work on him again, and what he means by that, he is somehow able to move his vitals to prevent Granola from using them to essentially knock him out. I don't know how one moves their vitals, but somehow Goku does. It seemed kind of like this was one of those weird moments that I'm just not fully on board with, and it just kind of doesn't make any sense. But regardless, Goku can now move his vitals and not get knocked out. Oh, okay. Granola does mention that Goku's strategy here about moving his vitals is purely a defensive one, and he still has no way to truly attack Granola, which in the end won't be able to give him a win at all and is going to cause a problem. Goku does agree with him on this. So Vegeta does wake up and notices that Goku is taking on Granola, and he's kind of not happy about the situation. But regardless, he can also tell that Goku's almost out of energy and can't keep up with Granola any longer. So Vegeta, just with the most calm, calculated answer, says, "I'm tagging in." Goku says, "Really? Why are you so obsessed with doing this alone?" Vegeta says, "Hard to say. Think of it as a stubborn Saiyan pride if you want." Vegeta goes on to tell Goku he only just learned to unleash this side of his own power, so he won't last long either. He'll most likely hit his limit soon. That'll be my opening for victory. Vegeta then pleads with Goku and says, "Please allow me to do this alone." Goku says fine. Goku also mentions, "Try not to die, Vegeta," with a badass Vegeta walking off screen to go and take on Granola. Vegeta again powers up into his ego transformation and then takes on Granola one more time. Granola is completely caught off guard here because he thought that Vegeta was already out of power. And again, Vegeta then goes and mentions, as I explained, the power is unbounded. It has no limits. Vegeta then takes Granola and takes him into the city center where everyone else is living, and using that to his advantage, knowing that Granola does in fact have a heart and he will not do any type of destructive techniques to hurt the others while they're there. Now, Vegeta's doing anything he can to get a win here, but one thing I gotta really point out is that moment that Vegeta bites down on Granola, and it completely reminds me of that arc back against Buu when Goku does the exact same thing. And I gotta just love those little moments that Toyotaro brings up and lets Vegeta do whatever is necessary to get the win, even if it means copying Goku in some ways. It also fits Vegeta's more primal fighting style that he's kind of utilizing right now, so I really like that technique in the sense of biting hurts, so it's effective. Now, Vegeta is on the ground laughing because he thinks that Granola can't use his techniques here, but Granola goes point blank at Vegeta and starts using his rapid fire technique to just pummel Vegeta. Vegeta went back into his base form, but you can tell that Granola is also almost completely out of power himself. So we get a flashback moment with Granola, and his whole planet is being conquered by the Saiyans, but Granola is a kid here and he's looking for his mom. And when they do find one another, it kind of brings Granola right back because Granola is realizing everything he's doing right now is putting these other people in danger. And is he any better than the Saiyans when they came to conquer him back in the day? Vegeta does go on to mention that any grudges that he holds against Saiyans is well deserved. However, by eradicating the Saiyans, are you not just repeating history here? You Ceruleans were never such a savage tribe, were you? Granola does say, your people took everything from us, and I'll never move past that. Granola then blasts Vegeta out of the sphere, out of the city, and Granola is powering up for one final massive attack to finally put Vegeta out of his misery. Granola does mention he will summon every bit of power to make sure Vegeta stays dead, and his revenge against Frieza will have to wait until we're both in hell. Now, I am interpreting that as Granola is going to use everything in the sense that this is going to also kill him, and he's totally okay with that if it means taking Vegeta out. But I don't know if he's fully thinking this through because Goku still exists, and I'm not sure if this blast will be able to take both of them out. So I don't know if he's just heated in the moment and just he'll do whatever it takes to kill Vegeta, since Vegeta is the one really getting under his skin. Regardless, it doesn't really matter because the next panel, we get to see the old Namekian show up. Oh, but before that, Vegeta does say, "Apologies, Lord Beerus. I couldn't revert to the callous, unfeeling man I once was. That god of destruction power was beyond the scope of a novice like me. If this is a Saiyan's fate, so be it." Goku's also totally shocked that they're both willing to die in this moment for their cause. So this is where the old Namekian shows up, Monedo, and completely distracts Granola in that moment. So with that, Goku takes that split-second opportunity to knock Granola over, not allowing him to use his blast. Granola is just completely consumed by rage, and he tells Monedo that he just wants this to finally end. The old Namekian does have something to tell Granola that's vitally important because he's got some facts wrong. And he does say that it was a lie of his that brought you here. There was one Saiyan who didn't earn your vengeance. 40 years back, the one who actually saved us was a Saiyan named Bardock.
NANI?!
And just like that, that is the end of the chapter, and we get a name drop like Bardock, but they did, by the way, spell it Burdock, so I'm just really hoping that's a typo, and we aren't moving to spelling his name that way. Regardless, it is Bardock, and I'm going to keep calling him Bardock. Now, I do see some people online upset about this news about Bardock, thinking that he's now just known as a good guy. Now, I don't think that's the case. He isn't. He has done terrible things, just like Vegeta, but people can grow and change, and I think that's just simply as Bardock did. And we kind of saw it in his own movie back in the day, whether we want to consider that canon or not. But regardless, Bardock did have a change of heart and did try to save the Saiyans, which is why he went up against Frieza. In the end, it was inevitable he didn't win, but it was showing a change of heart that he did care for some reason to try to save people, despite him being able to just peace out. He could have left and saved himself, but he didn't. He went back to try to save everyone else. So Bardock obviously does have some good in him regardless. Again, saying that, I don't think Bardock is purely good, but he obviously does have some good tendencies, and maybe towards the end of his life, he started to soften up a bit. I was overall incredibly satisfied with the chapter. It gave us a lot of growth for Vegeta and Granola, and gave us a name drop like Bardock. But I want to know, how did you feel about the chapter? Were you satisfied? Were you upset at all? Are you kind of upset that Vegeta essentially tied with Granola here? Let me know in the comments. Now, I did call this several chapters ago that I didn't think Vegeta or Granola was going to win this fight, because we do know that the Heaters are in the background throughout this entire thing, and they are the greater villain here, and Granola was just a bystander that was being used by them. So I think in the end, Granola is going to work with Goku and Vegeta here, and he is going to take on the Heaters and possibly Frieza, or something even greater that's going to be showing themselves soon, probably in the next chapter. Now, I am excited to see where this is going with the Heaters, because the Heaters have to really cook something up that's going to be able to take on both Granola, Vegeta, and Goku, because I can't possibly think of anything that can take on all three of them at this moment. So now we got to wait another month and see where things go. But as usual, if you enjoyed this chapter, definitely consider subscribing. Hitting that like button is a huge help. And leave a comment below. I want to know what you thought about the chapter. Outside of that, I'll see you in the next video.